guys, welcome back to the Talk Spicy to Me podcast. I'm Brianna.
I'm Heather.
I'm Jasmine.
And we are going to talk all the things, but first we want to talk about our recent or our current reads just so you can stay up to date with what we are reading. So, most recently I have read, or I started to read The Damage by Tijan, and I am so excited to get that book. That's the second book in the series.
Mm-hmm. I finished recently Ruthless God by Laura Lee. It was a novella or short story in the Bully God anthology. And I have already messaged her in her Facebook group about this, but she broke me. I don't understand how so much spice could be put into such small pages. Like, it wasn't even a full-length book. Five peppers.
That's what Laura does. Like, she's so good at bringing that spice.
It was
I cannot wait to read it.
Effing-tastic. I got to the end and I was like, oh man, I have to wait till May to get the rest of it. I was like,
she's a good tease too. Like, she's so good at teasing.
Phenomenal. I was like, good God. It's like this woman, all the steam, right in, just all of it. I was like, okay, I see where you're at, Laura, good times. So that was my most recent.
Well, my most recent was Happiness in Jersey. It's a series, so it's going to be like 4 standalone books, and then I think we even get like a little novella, just glimpsing back at the customers. But it's Black romance. They're like in college. They play in a band, so it has like the music aspect, and I love music, so I love every single thing about this. Like Isaiah, aka Zay, is zaddy. He is king. Like cue Tony Braxton's I love me some him because I love me some him.
That sounds so good.
Take down notes. We got this. Okay, we'll write this down. So, what? Didn't you read the one that I was currently reading, Brie?
Yes.
Ruining Dahlia.
Yes, so that is my most spiciest recent read. Ruining Dahlia. That is Mafia, but it's also a reverse harem, and it's the third or the fourth book set in this world that other authors are a part of. And it's by the one I read, Ruining Dahlia, is by C.R. Jane. My first book by her, and oh my God, like 5 peppers. Oh my goodness. Like, it's so good. It has dark aspect, like really dark. But the reverse harem and the Mafia combo is what hooked me, because I saw her TikTok and I was hooked.
That's really intriguing, because reverse harem already is just like, it's a lot of like alphas, and then you may have someone who's not as alpha, but just like when you think Mafia, because they're usually all just alpha, it's like you bringing those together, like that is such an interesting concept.
It's like Lions,
really
like King of the Jungle type of things. Like there can only be one man.
Yeah.
I started reading that one last night. You have gotten many of my text messages about it. I am only 15% of the way through. 5 peppers for the 50 pages that I might have read. 5.
Well, it hooks you. Like the reel or the TikTok said, when you're, when you're forced to marry someone because of your Mafia family. So what do? You sleep with a stranger, only to come to find out that it's your new brother-in-law. And I'm like, oh my God.
It wasn't even like, I didn't even read any of the blurbs. I didn't know anything about it. You had sent me something and I was like, okay. And then you were like, it kept me up all night, and I was like, done.
That's what made me want to add it. Like, and that's why I had no idea what it was about, because when she said the book kept me up all night, I'm like, okay, cool. Just drop that title, drop that author. That's all I need to know. And I went and added it. And then later, when I saw the post about it, I'm like, wait, it is reverse harm?
Yes.
Mafia? What?
I just met the third person, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, what do you mean you're surprised that he puts his pants on like he fits in pants? What? Okay, he's not supposed to fit in his pants.
He's impressive. Very impressive.
Monster elephant. That's what he's I am here for all of it.
Is that your most recent steamiest read?
Well, that's my current steamiest. My most recent steamiest is definitely Laura Lee's Ruthless God. The things that this man did. He has the most magical hands. He's also a tattoo artist, which, hello, I'm,
That's
obsessed
right
with
up your
body
alley.
art.
That's right up your
That is,
alley.
yeah, up my alley. And then, the girl, she, in the short story from the anthology, you don't really get all of their secrets. So you just get like a little bit of their secrets. So he thinks she's like the biggest liar, and she's really not. She's a good person. You got to find out like all the nitty gritty, and she gives you just enough Easter eggs where it's like, I need to know like who is who, where is where. But she was like, this sweet girl that, you were made to believe she was this sweet girl, and then at the end, she's bisexual. She has her VCH or VHC, whatever piercing. She got piercings everywhere.
That's all that matters.
But I was just like, oh, honey went on the dark side and said, F this shit. I was like, okay. Like, she badass now. But Laura Lee just set up this whole thing, and she's like, mic drop, wait till May.
She is the biggest tease.
I'm like, I'll see how you do me, Laura. God. Okay. So that one is by far my most recent steamiest, but my current is The Ruining Dahlia, and I'm like, oh, this is not safe for work. We can only read at home.
Oh, it's definitely not safe. Like, I was reading a scene at work because I finished it like at work, and I was just like, ooh.
Like, don't let nobody be looking over my shoulder right now. Like,
close the door. I got this. It's fine.
Close that door. Keep it open.
Don't let anybody in. What about you, Jazz? What's your spiciest?
So my latest spiciest read was by my girl Tabitha Kiss. It was called Pink Valentine. So it's like a novella based off of characters she wrote in Two in the Pink, and it's a montage. But basically, this one is like, okay, it's centered around Valentine's Day, and she starts you off thinking it's like this. It's like this secret. It's some kind of disconnect going on between them. But it's Phoebe, Thad, Max. But in this book, they take it to the next level because, like, within their threesome, the guys haven't like crossed swords or anything like that. You know what I mean? So this book is like Tabitha took it to another level. She said, "Oh yeah, it's going from MFM to MMF." So
they went to Paris and they're sword fighting.
Exactly. And it's like, honestly, for it to be a novella, it was so freaking spicy. I would definitely give it like 5 stars. Like,
nice.
She definitely knows how to bring this theme. Like, their story was hot. Like, I needed more. All 5 peppers. All 5 of them.
All of them. All right. So we have a highlighted book. What are we reading? Or what did we read, Jazz?
Oh, yes. So our theme for this month is Kiss Me, I'm Mafia. So our highlighted book was Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that book. So obviously it was Mafia, but it was really, really good.
It was.
I think from the start, I don't know what I was expecting, but basically, just like a brief recap, we have the oddest of meats. It was so we have this mafia family who is rivals with another family in town, Italian mafia and Irish mafia, and the Italian family decides to crash this party that they were not invited to. And when they crash the party,
he sets his house on fire.
Things ensue. I was just cringing so hard.
He literally needs to get out of the situation because she wasn't invited to the party. Basically, like, they don't want to get caught. So yeah, she lights the room on fire to get out of getting caught.
Is there such thing as a cringe cute? Because that's what that was. It was so cringy.
What? That's official now. That's official. We got cringe cute going on.
Yeah, because it was cringy. Like, I don't think I would have lit anything on fire to escape, but I also admire her balls.
Right? I feel like that would have been just my luck to light something on fire.
She was definitely ballsy. She definitely, like, had no fucks to give, honest to God. She was like, this is me. Yes, like me, hate me, move on with yourself. Like, that was just who she was. And she wasn't a bad person about it. Like, it wasn't like, you know, in your face or whatever. It was just, we don't mesh, or, you know, I'm me, you're you, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
it wasn't like anything bad or, you know, about her personality. Like, she was just who she was and strong about it.
No, exactly.
Yes.
And so from there, you know, obviously they're enemies, but they're even more so enemies because, you know, his library is set on fire. But it sort of blows up from there. There's a lot of action involved in the beginning, and they have to, in order to like reconcile, they are forced into a marriage of convenience, and it just hits off from there, and it is so enemies to lovers. Oh,
Yes.
just hits it from there. But yeah, go ahead, Heather, and tell us about the tropes.
Well, I mean, you mentioned a lot of them, and it's really cool looking at stories and like highlighted stories like this, where when you think back afterwards, all of the different tropes that go into it. And
Right.
like, I never really thought about it before with some of our books, but when you look at tropes, you think, okay, well, this book falls into that trope, and this one, there were so many for this one. So obviously it's Mafia, it's marriage of convenience, it's age gap. Because there's like a 10-year difference between them.
Yeah.
And in the very beginning, Callum, who is our hero, he, honest to God, he thinks that, oh, I have to marry a child. She's not a child. She's grown. She, you know,
She definitely proved she was not a child. Like,
but I think that he was more intimidated by her free spirit, whereas he was trying, like, he was set in his goal, and,
Right.
you know, I have to do this. This is like where I'm going with my career, for my family, you know, all this other stuff. And she's like, and then? So we have the age gap, we have the forced proximity, enemies to lovers, like, it hit on all of those. But it was funny.
yeah, it was way funnier than I expected for a Mafia romance. Like, I
Yes!
didn't think I would laugh so much in this book. Like, I expected like really dark and serious, but I liked it because I like to laugh. So I was like, it was unexpected. Because Bree, I think you mentioned that you didn't know what to expect from this, and I was the same way. I didn't know what to expect from it, but it was refreshing to see the like humor added into it.
Yes, I went in blind. I went in
Yeah.
completely blind, and I was like, let's see what this is all about. And cringe-worthy moments. So besides the cringe meet that they had where he's like, she tried to set his house on fire, like, there's this brawl, and, you know, I had PTSD, oh my goodness, from this fight. Like, I've read dark and graphic books before, and not that this one, like, was super dark, but it was just those key points that just hit you in the gut, and it was like, oh, you didn't, like,
Yes.
broke his leg, how, what?
Ugh.
But even so, some of the cringy parts did make me laugh. I mean, like, some of the action, obviously, like, during like an intense scene, I'm not laughing. But, you know,
Mhm.
after I read the scene where she set his curtain on fire, I laughed because I'm like,
Yeah.
what? What did she just do? Like,
I laughed during that, so that tells you where I'm at in life. Like,
yeah.
I laughed during that.
It was the you're right. There were like those funny moments. But like the enemies to lovers aspect, I love that trope for
Oh
us
my
all.
gosh,
But,
I do
like,
too.
I think it was done so well because we understood why they were enemies.
Yes.
They had that tit for tat banter that was like, oh, so wait, what was that scene or that line that you like, Jazz, where it's you took my
Where it was
hair,
like-
what?
The shower scene. Where he
Oh,
was like,
okay, yes.
If
But
you
they like
want
went
to
tit for
come,
tat.
yes, like he was like, if you want to come, then suck my cock first. And I was like, oh, okay. But then what was surprising was what she did next.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, I got some for you.
It's like I understood the assignment. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
My favorite line. Like I was
Or like he got her waxed and forced her to get waxed.
that's part of like the one up, how they one up. each
Yes,
other.
it was one after the other. Like, okay, well now you got to be ugly and wear this ugly, suit. And oh, now I'm gonna try and kill you. Oh wait, I'm gonna try to kill you too.
When they mentioned his allergies, I saw it coming. Like, because I even wrote you, I was like, oh yeah, she gonna do something with this, and I'm scared.
I didn't think he was gonna try to drown her after it.
There was just so much banter and, like you said, that tit for tat of the scenes that literally I think I was waiting to see what or who was going to do next. So like when it finally exploded, I was like, okay, now we have this next level where like the spice is brought into it. So like how is their tit for tat going to play into the steam, into the spice? And
it's my favorite way to see how they're gonna do that. Like how you mentioned, like the enemies to lover aspect. Like you always have that banter, and then you're just waiting. Like, okay, how is this gonna pop off? Like,
and then,
right.
What I liked about it was like he was so possessive and like crazy alpha.
Yeah.
That like it made their hate sex epically like off the charts. Like.
Even better, like
he hated her, or I want to say hate because it was definitely hate sex, but I don't know if by the time they actually slept together, if it was really I hate her, like she hates him type of thing.
Yeah, I think it was more of like I think honestly, the original picture was he was brought up to despise people who were against his family, and I think he just had that ingrained in him. Like obviously, both sides make assumptions. You know, they have some biasness, but I think he had this idea in his head of who she was, and he was stuck hating that. So slowly he started to realize, like, maybe this isn't her. Maybe, you know, like he did get to know more about her, but I think that's with every enemies to lovers. When that assumption hits and you know that you made an ass out of you and me, like.
And also, I think it's like, Heather, you were mentioning how like she's ballsy. I think that was like something that played into their kind of like enemies to lovers too, because I think he even mentioned like how he had this idea of like the type of woman he would be with, and she definitely was not it. Like how he was so goal oriented, and he was kind of looking for more like a quiet girl that he could like lead and mold into how he wanted, and she was like, you're
that's and she said it. She said it plenty of times. Like, I'm not your pet. I'm not your accessory. Like, you know. I am my own person, and I think really when she proved herself to him that she could stand on her own and stand beside him, he got like a whole new view of what he thought he needed in life. Yeah. Because she proved her place in his life.
Shocking him too, like pleasantly shocking him, and exactly that, like you said, when he realized, you know, even though she's young, she was still brought up in a family that is a competitor of theirs, so she must know something. And when she proved that, I think he realized like how into that and how much he needed that as a partner, because he had never had or wanted that to begin with.
Right.
I would definitely have given it 5 peppers. Just like the steam was off the charts. There were just those pieces of it, like the spanking.
It would get some kink. There was some gagging and bounding, and
I love the as far as like a star rating, I would probably give it a 4-star. It was a great book. There were parts of it that I didn't really understand, like as far as like where it fit. There was so much going on, so like there were parts of it that I was like, this part confused me as to like how it kind of flowed through it. Like I got where it fit in the story, but kind of feel like it didn't add to it. Like the story was already great.
I agree. So I definitely would say 4 or 5 peppers for me, because it's just so easy, I feel, to like rate this book so well for the spice, because I feel like the fact that it's Mafia, obviously he's going to be domineering and alpha type, but like you know, the dirty talk brought it up. But for the rating, for like the star overall, I would say 4 stars. I agree. I feel like at times there were a lot of aspects going on, and I do love when there's a lot to show, a lot to say, a lot to learn. But at some points I was kind of like, I'm not sure where it's going, because I'm not sure who right now we're focusing on. I felt like there were sort of 2 stories at times. And I don't know if that leads into more books in the series, and I'm hoping it does, because I did have some questions. But I also
I'll definitely read the next one.
Right.
Yeah. I love the family.
Yeah, I loved it. Like as soon as like the siblings, I was like, yeah, I want to read y'all stories. Like,
I want Nessa's story and I want Dante's story. Like
yes,
so bad.
The other sister. Oh my gosh, I forgot her name. But
Riona?
Yeah,
yeah,
Riona.
I was like,
Rihanna.
are Riona and Dante gonna be a thing? I don't know.
That would be
Yeah.
interesting.
He was like
want
itchy.
more.
I liked
Yeah.
her.
Well, I mean,
I
I
like
could
her.
understand. She's always being compared or seen as beneath her brothers.
Exactly. When
Right,
she's
right.
like, she can hold her own. Like, cause yeah, it's like he mentioned. Did he mention that? Like how he was the son, so he had to like take charge and focus on the family. And meanwhile, like she had everything, all the tools and resources, same as him, but because she was a woman, it was like no.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of what played into her bitchiness too,
Mm-hmm.
because she's not being seen, like how she should.
Right, right. She wanted to be more, or at least seen how she really is.
Yes.
Yeah, there were so many side characters that I can't wait to read more because I'm hoping that I get more from this world. And I know that, like, I feel like there's so much story to each character. Like, they all had their own specific quirks or personalities that I was like, hang on, what about them?
Right.
What? Do I need to take these notes?
Right, exactly.
So for Mafias, what do we look for in our Mafia books? Because I mean, I look for the strong heroine. If she's going to be weak in the beginning, I want her to gain a backbone by the end. But if she's badass in the beginning, like hell yes, you are going to prove your worth in this world. And usually like the heroes are always super alpha-y and, possessive. So like that heroine needs to be able to stand on her own, like stilettos to your balls on her own.
That's a good, like, I love that. Like, I look for that too. I think like with like all tropes, there's always like a recipe to it. And I feel like that's one of the parts of the recipe. Like she's either going to just come in, like you said, like stiletto to the balls, like ready to go, or she may be the opposite and start off really like kind of sweet, maybe naive, but
right.
I need her to do like a whole 360. Like I need you to be like top dog queen by the end. Like I want to see that evolution of you becoming like this little calm, cool to being like this bold, badass.
Yes,
bitch.
yes.
Like, I need that.
I agree. The growth and development definitely needs to be there for the
Yes.
heroine. And same for the hero, it depending
Exactly.
on how alpha or commanding or feared they are, which I do want to see in my Mafia. I want to see their heart, and if you have a heart just for the heroine, I'm fine with that. But I want to see their heart. I also really like to know how they got to their place in life that they're in and what they're controlling. So I want to see their empire because I feel like in Mafia it's super important to know like who they are and why they're feared, if they're feared, and what they are working towards. Are they working towards gaining more territory or completely owning the territory they have? Do they have enemies? Why do they have enemies? So that backstory.
Yes. I think that plays a major part.
For like the Mafia aspect, I do want to know the illegal or the criminal activity that's going on because
the organized crime.
Yeah,
exactly.
I feel like their morality is in question in Mafia, which it makes total sense.
Yeah.
And that can be, Mafia is really nice because it can be either a dark romance or a contemporary romance with dark undertones.
Right.
So I just want to see all of that. And I know like that's just so much that I listed, but I feel like Mafia is a really good trope that encompasses so much for characters. Yeah.
I feel like what you mentioned, Brie, like as far as like their organized crime and like what they do. And then even sometimes in some Mafia romances, like they may like it's like reverse, like they start off criminal, but then it's like it's a lot of conflict because they may be looking to like come out of that organized crime life. And then I feel like sometimes that plays a major part in the conflict because like you have all your different people you're working with and they're like, I don't want to do legal things. I want to keep doing the illegal things that I'm doing and enjoying the luxuries of this. So I feel like that can play a part in the mafia trope too. Just like coming off of what you said as far as like what they do, like they can either be getting deeper into it or they're trying to come out of it.
Right. So what do you recommend as far as mafias? Like, what have you read that you liked?
Ooh, okay. One of my very first mafia romances was High Stakes by Vanessa Waltz. Adriana and Vince, they are one of my favorite couples. I actually put Adriana's name down on my future baby list because that's how much I love that couple. Like, it was honestly 5 star steamy. There was an age gap. It was a 10-year age gap. She was like in undergrad. He was like this capo. Capo?
Capo?
Yeah. So he had like soldiers under him, but there were so many times where like she's about to get kidnapped. Like there's he ties her up, spanks her. Like that was one of the first books where I looked, and he like it was a scene where he whipped her with a belt, and I was like, I didn't think that could be sexy. I was like, I grew up knowing this is bad. This is pain. I don't want this. And I read the book and I was like, oh my.
Like,
okay.
Is this a red flag?
Am I drama or are you drama?
I don't know how I should feel about this, but it is good feelings. So yes, that's one of my favorites. Like anytime I think mafia, that's like one of the first ones I think about. And then the Delustro arrangement by C.D. Reese, that's one of the more recent mafia romances I read. It's a trilogy. It's Santino and Violetta. And Santino he was definitely that alpha we talked about. Like people feared this man, like coming into the room. Like his name evoked fear in people's hearts. And like he had that vulnerability breed, like you said, like he really only had the heart for her. Like that's it. Nobody else is getting his soft side. Like he is going to burn the world down for her. But what I liked is that she ended up being like the woman version of him, because it became a time where like she had to take reign of his empire. Like people were like, his men were coming to her like, what are we doing? And she had to like step up and be like, okay, I'm running this. Like people were questioning her, like, and she became this badass. Like,
yes,
I loved it. Like had the men literally bowing down to her by the end of the book. And I was like, yo, and the audio, that's the way you have to listen to the audio, because Emma Wilder, like her and Antonio Amata, like they just body Santino and Violetta in a way that like reading it just will not do it justice. You have to listen to the audio if you're going to do it. So yeah, those are mine.
What about you, Brie?
So there are a few. Canary by Tijan is one of them, and that is honestly one of the most unique mafia romances that I have read, because Canary is told from the perspective of foot soldiers. And, you know, when we read mafia books, depending on the setup and the organization, there is a hierarchy, and usually foot soldiers aren't high up or they don't have much control. But Canary Ray's, he had so much power, and honestly, like, he was doing the guy a favor being his foot soldier, so, like, he just did what he wanted. But that was really good, and the spice was there also. Then there's Rise of the King by Belle Matthews, which is a contemporary mafia where it's not dark romance, but there are the dark undertones. Sammy, who's amazing, he is the leader of his mafia group, and he is in love with, like, on sight, he knows that he wants this girl. Everyone calls her Snow he calls her Snow because she looks like Snow White, and she has such a history and such a past.
Favorite part. Throw the Disney in. Throw all the Disney in.
That's your Disney loving heart right there. It's
that's me. I love all the Disney.
You'll love it. It just came out in audio, actually.
Yes,
that's what I was waiting for.
That's my favorite thing to hear.
Yes. But Snow, oh my gosh, I love her because she has such a dark past, and she is one of the heroines that, like, she starts off strong, and I think her biggest thing was learning how to love and how to accept love, because he was there for her. Like, he was like, yeah, I'll burn down the world for you and with you, and I still love you. So I really liked that. One other one that comes to mind, Asher Black by Parker.
Yes,
Esteban.
I love that one.
That whole like Mafia series, which is really good. And another difference is that Asher doesn't work necessarily with a Mafia group specifically, but they all resource or out-resource him because he like sells all the technology and
they use him.
Yeah. But
you kind of have like the best of both worlds, like not Mafia, but I got the Mafia connections, but y'all need me, so he was real valuable. And I like how the humor that Parker added into that, because I think that was one of the first Mafia books I read where it wasn't so dark and so serious. So like it was a refreshing twist for me to read a Mafia where it was like, wait a minute, I'm laughing. Like Lucy was hilarious. Like, what's that one liner you mentioned, Heather? Like
with horny Lucy. Like, I have to sit this bitch down. Like, we don't got time for horny Lucy.
Her personality has me laughing.
Yeah.
I love that one. For me, Eva Winters has put out a bunch of Mafia books recently, and I've read all of them. I actually read them as arcs before they came out, because the first one that I read, I think, was Vow of Mobsters, or maybe it was Den of Sin. I can't remember which one came first, but they were both fantastic. And then the last one was the Bells and Mobsters series, which she had kind of prefaced in the ones before that it was gonna be a thing because of the mobsters and like the women that they found and stuff like that. So that's the Bells and the Mobsters, and it was like I don't want to give too many spoilers. It's a thing. Luciano was the last one that I read, and this man, fantastic. Like balls to the wall attitude and just possessive and like jump before thinking. So like he went, long walk off a short pier and shot himself in the foot and then had to crawl his way back. And it was like just watching this strong alpha asshole, because that's what he was, turn around and fight for the woman that he wanted because he had her, lost her, and it was like, oh damn, you are my equal. Like that's really what like captured me.
Was there groveling?
It was fantastic groveling.
I love groveling. I love it.
And it was great. That's like, she just set up this world beautifully, and I highly recommend her Mobster series. And again, I'm reading the Ruining Dahlia one. Everybody should read that.
That whole world.
All-nighters, read that one. And the Knight's Ridge Empire by Tracy Lorraine. It's Mafia, but it's not like the Mafia like Brutal Prince was. Okay. Where it was like, two like families coming together. It was one family who was like the Mafia, and they have like their issues with like different people, or groups, I should say. But it's like surrounded around the couples, but they are like Mafia based. Mm-hmm. So I enjoyed it thoroughly. I just finished the most recent one of the second couple, because the first couple was a trilogy, now the second couple. Love it. That was definitely like, I don't want to call it marriage of convenience. It was a surprise marriage. Surprise marriage, forced proximity. Fantastic. I loved it. Loved it. So
you always have great things to say about her books, though. So like,
yes. And you know what started it for this series? She had The Wicked Summer Nights. It was an audio. I had just started commuting to my office again. So, and I opened my email one morning and I was like, hey, free audio. It was like a novella. I was like, you know what? I can finish it by the time I got to work. It's like, okay. I got in the car. I'm listening to this. By the time I got to work, I was sweating. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I got to go home. I was like, I don't even know if I can go to work like this. Like, this is just inappropriate. But it was that good, and it was just the prequel and the opening to this world. So when I went to go, I was like, okay, well, where's book 1? And I was like, yeah, it's not out yet. Wait, what?
Aw.
I was like,
way to tease me.
I was like, okay, well, now what am I gonna... So when the art came out, I was like, oh, and the way that, I think it's Valentine, PR group. So they're like, sign up for the art, but it's the whole series. So you sign up once and you get all of them. So they're coming back to back. So there's no like real long wait.
Oh,
so like once you hit that cliff, it's like you jump off, you hit the water, you paddle for a little bit, and you got the next one. Everything's okay again. So I'm totally okay with all of that. But
that's so funny. That sounds
they're
really
good.
good. Like,
They're really good.
I think Tracy has been on my TBR for a while. But you had said something that made me think of Mafia. So specifically, I know with Mafia, a lot of them I feel like are the marriage of convenience or the forced proximity. Yes. And I feel like that goes back to, what we like in them. And I just love when there is that, why do I have to go with him? Or why do I have to be in a situation? or I kidnapped you? Like, they're just so good. They're so good. And that brings the spice or the steam up.
Yes.
It's like that can make or break the steam. And I don't know. I feel like that's why this book added a whole nother pepper, because they were just so.
There was steam coming out of their ears.
Like, all my notes are pretty much like whatever Callum said to her.
Brutal Prince, all the steam, all the peppers. Sophie Lark, thumbs up.
Yeah, like I cannot wait to read more books.
Yes.
I'm ready to read more of this. Well, y'all know me. I'm going to listen to it. So.
Yes.
I'm ready to listen to more of it.
I'm going to definitely go through Sophie Lark's backlog, series of books, whatever it's called.
Backlist, hey.
All of them.
Go back and read it, pretty much. That's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly. If you can write a hero like Callum, and you can write steam like that limo scene, like that shower,
like
that spanking scene, like the last. You know what? Hit me up. I got that. Peppers.
That's why. Oh my gosh, that's why everybody needs limos and chauffeurs. And if you don't know why, you need to read this book.
Read Brutal Prince. You will know why we all need chauffeurs in life. I volunteer as tribute. Not to be the chauffeur.
I was going to say to be my chauffeur. Okay.
No, negative.
To be my chauffeur. Right.
All right, guys. So that was this week's episode, and we will hit you up next time.
Thanks for joining
us.
Y'all.
Bye.
Bye.